What is up, everybody? Welcome to the thinking class. I am Professor Ely, Christopher Ely, Dr. Ely by itself, Christopher by itself, it doesn't really matter. Um, Today, I'm going to be answering subscriber questions because I get a lot of them and I'm trying to figure out the best way to answer them because sometimes my inbox gets flooded with questions. I never expected that from becoming a Substack writer, and it's a cool thing, but it's kind of hard to keep up with everything. So I think the way I'm gonna do this is at the end of every week do a video where I do nothing but answer subscriber questions. Um, Again, I'm not a professional YouTuber. This is not something I do for a living. um, and the only reason why I'm doing another one of these videos is because when I did the video I did last week on Charlie Kirk, that video did way better than I thought that it would do. And that is solely because of Substack, right? Because I've done other videos and they don't do anything, but the Substack audience seems to follow me to my YouTube, right? So that's cool. So if you want to follow me on YouTube, the Thinking Class with Professor Ely, and that'll be actually the quickest way to monetize the stuff that I do. And I appreciate all the subscribers, whether you pay me a pledge monthly, yearly, or you don't pay a pledge, because even the people who do not pay money and spread the word about the articles that I write, you are bringing attention. And, people are gonna subscribe, especially if you're feeding them stuff that they think is salient. You don't really even have to ask for money. They'll willingly give it to you because they know what you do is hard and they want to support you. So thank you for all of that. I appreciate it a lot. But anyway, let's get into some subscriber questions using my trusty iPad Pro to answer them. Um, and let me see. Got to pull them up first. How about that? And yeah, okay. So the first question I got is, how long does it take you to write an article? And this person's name is Jill. I'm not gonna read like full names of people unless you don't care that I do. So if and I am not I don't have a Substack email address either, or not like a Gmail address to get all the subscriber questions. I might make one, but I don't have one yet. So if you have a question, just send me a message on Substack, and I'll do my best to answer it. And just if you want me to say your name, tell me to. If you don't want me to, don't. But I'll just give first names, and I won't. Not That's how we'll do it, right? So Jill, she asks me, how long does it take you to write an article? And that really is a good question. And it depends. It's never like a set time. So when I sit down to write, I never know how long it's going to take. It could take anywhere between 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or 15 hours, 2, 3 days. It really depends on the subject matter, right? So I'll give you an example of an easy article. The article I wrote on Tulsi Gabbard was pretty easy to write, um, because Tulsi is a notorious grifter. And she does and says a lot of things for political expedience. Um, she is so full of shit that the article that I wrote for her, such a known grifter that it grifted itself into existence. And I think I said that in the article because she is just, she's got a track record of being full of it. And the people in Hawaii know this, right? And it's very easy to kind of get fooled by her and her brand of bullshit because I mean she's got a pleasant looking face. Before you hear her speak, of course, she doesn't get angry. She's not one of those conservatives that yell a lot. She talks in a very measured way, and she almost sounds understanding. So that's how you could get fooled by a person like her. But she, easy article to write. The articles I wrote on Charlie Kirk were a little more difficult. And when I say a little bit more difficult, it just means that you're gathering up information and you want to make an article that's not completely bashing the guy, but you also want to be truthful about the person that he was. For me, the Charlie Kirk assassination, killing, whatever you want to call it, it hit me on a bunch of different levels. One, because I met Charlie Kirk a few times. One time I remember specifically meeting him at a Politicon event. And this is he was a young guy when I met him too. He wasn't even in his 30s. I don't even think he was in his 20s when I met him. And he was just cordial, but then you'd hear him talk. And when you hear him talk, he said a lot of toxic, racist, homophobic, sexist, xenophobic things that came out of his mouth, and a lot of things that I would consider non-starters. That's why it's always like interesting to listen to people talk about how he was such a good debater. He really wasn't. He was good at debating in settings where he was comfortable in, right? He liked debating when he was at his turning point rallies or whatever, and an angry college student will walk up to him, flustered, not knowing what to say, nervous, trembling a little bit. Charlie Kirk has a lot of media training. And media training means a lot. When someone is used to doing the kind of stuff Charlie Kirk does, and you're dealing with a novice who's not used to that, no matter how smart they are gonna mess up, you know. And Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, any person like that is going to take advantage of it, right? Um, and even the liberals that he debated, they weren't really debating him. And I don't even like Cenk Uygur. I have no clue what the fuck this guy is because he's all over the place. All he does is yell, uh, uh, bolster. He just kind of speaks 100 miles a minute. It's a horrible debater. And he's over there kind of giving credence to Charlie Kirk's side and rhetoric. And even Gavin Newsom, my governor, kind of entertained his nonsense. And even on the congressional floor, the Senate floor the other day, I think it was the congressional floor, it doesn't matter, but they were voting on giving this guy some kind of remembrance day. And this is a problem with society, and this shows you how crazy anti intellectualism has gotten because Charlie Kirk didn't debate. He said nonsense, stuff that's not debatable, right? Kamala Harris, Sheila Jackson Lee, God rest her soul. Who else? Michelle Obama. These women were geniuses, smart, capable, intelligent, and he's calling them stupid. Talking about black pilots not being sure if they're DEI hires. He Nobody called him on this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and the thing with being a pilot is being a pilot is not just an American thing, because to fly commercial airliners, you have to do a lot of training to fly all over the world. You have to be proficient as in English. Every person that's a pilot has to pass the exact same test. They're not gonna put you up in the air flying people if they think because you're black and you're cool, or you went to the shucking and jiving school. There, you have to be good at the job. And the stuff he said were not debate topics, and to debate them, it makes you lose credibility, not him, because he suckered you into having a debate over stupid shit. It makes me look stupid if I'm debating the stuff that Charlie Kirk says. So that was a long way of answering that question. Depends on the article and the topic. Sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's a long time. I'm writing an article today that's probably going to be, I anticipate it being out in the morning, but who knows with me, man. So, anyway, let me see. The next question is, where are you from? I know that you live in Los Angeles, but where were you born and raised? And this um, email comes from, says Trisha. Okay. Hey Trisha. So I am from Los Angeles, California. That's where I was born. And that was where I was raised up until I was like 12, 13. Then me and my family moved to Knoxville, Tennessee. And I went to high school in Knoxville, Tennessee. I went to middle school in Knoxville, Tennessee. I went to high school in Knoxville, Tennessee. I went to part of middle school in Los Angeles. I went to Orville Wright Junior High in Westchester when it was still called a junior high. I went to Westport Heights Elementary School in Los Angeles, and Hyde Park Boulevard when I at really younger days, and then I went to Calvary Christian School in the second grade. So I've I've kind of been in all kind of schools, and then when I went to Knoxville, Tennessee, I went to Farragut High School, and pretty much stayed there all 4 years, except for a semester when I went to North Carolina, and then come back to Los Angeles. But I've lived in Los Angeles the longest amount of time. I graduated from Farragut High School in Knoxville, Tennessee, class of 1999. And that's where I met like some cool people, like my friend Matt Watland, who is in the band 10 Years. Awesome person. Jubin Parang, who writes for The Daily Show now, Emmy Award winner. Haven't seen him in probably since 1999, since graduation day. But yeah, there was a lot of talent in Knoxville, Tennessee. Knoxville is actually a bluer area. It's more purple now than it was when I was a kid. When I was a kid, it was red as hell, man. And there's still a lot of red areas there. But and I'll have time to answer questions about that place uh, in due time. But I liked it out there. Hated it at first, but now like it. I try to go out there and visit every year. Haven't recently in the last couple years just because of health issues, but I'll be out there again eventually. Let me see. Next question. Will the Dodgers win the World Series? From Roger. Of course they're going to win the World Series. Come on, they're the Dodgers. It's my favorite team. Uh, I I hope they do. I hope we go back to back. I don't even know when the last time an MLB team has gone back to back. So, hope they do. Hope we do. Go Dodgers. Let me see. What did you think of Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman speaking out against Charlie Kirk's legacy? Oh yeah, okay, I do remember this. I liked it. I think that we had. I think you can tell the truth about Charlie Kirk. That's what the whole purpose of journalism is. It's not to lie. There's not my truth or your truth. There is their truth. There is. Well, let me say that again. There's not my truth or your truth. There is the truth, right? When people say speak your truth, they are talking about your perspective, right? But the truth is always going to be the truth. The truth is not liberal, conservative, any of that stuff. The truth is exactly what it is. And that is what we have to cover. So, um, even if you are an athlete or an entertainer, political commentator, journalist, whatever, you have to tell the truth and don't try to BS people. Because I think that's the biggest issue with media today is right. You've got people saying things like David Zasloff saying, hey, I want to do news that's nicer to conservatives. Well, if you're doing that, that is not news. That is you trying to placate a group. When I write articles, um, I am a liberal, I'm a Democrat, but the goal of my articles is not to be nice to liberals and Democrats. My articles are to tell the truth. And if I have opinions, the best way to convey those opinions is to back them up by facts, with facts. That's why you see in my articles, I hyperlink a bunch of stuff so people can click on that to see that what I'm saying is not something I just pulled out of my ass. The stuff that I'm saying is true. So that's that with that. So, and maybe I didn't answer the question well. Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts. I didn't like when the Dodgers met with Donald Trump because I think anytime you add any ounce of legitimacy to this guy, it sends the message that we are going to tolerate all of this um, fuckery, all of this authoritarian creep that Trump is putting on. So I do think that you can't legitimize this guy. So, and if you, especially if you're a person that doesn't believe in his message, and I don't think Mookie Betts or Freddie Freeman believe in Donald Trump's message. So, I would have told the owners, "Look, I'm sitting this one out, or just come up with an excuse, like Jalen did for the Eagles. I just wouldn't go to the the um, the White House to meet with Donald Trump because he's a bad faith actor, and you're not gonna go anywhere by meeting up with that guy." Let me see. Next question. Hey, excuse me, man. I gotta get. I might be coming down with a cold. Hey, Doctor Ely. You are my favorite Lincoln Square writer, and the reason why I'm a subscribe to them. Thank you very much. Make sure you tell that to Rick Wilson and Susan Davis. I'm sure they'd love to hear that. Um, or I'd love for them to hear that. Maybe they give me some kind of raise or something. I don't know. You are one of my favorite Substack. Uh, and I'm subscribed to your Substack as well. Are there Lincoln Square writers outside of yourself that you read on a regular basis? There's a few. I read, of course, I read Rick Wilson, Maya May, who she'd be the one person that I knew prior to Lincoln Square. And when I say no, like we're not friends or any like we're internet friends. We're not like we don't hang out together in Los Angeles every week or anything like that. But she's a cool person, and she's tossed me some support. So I like Maya May a lot. Stuart Stevens, I read him. Who else? Who else? um, and there's a lot of people without the name recognition. Joe Trippy, I like him. Just whoever. I read all the articles, and the thing with me is I do not have to agree with everything you say. If I trust you to be a good faith actor, I'm gonna entertain what you're talking about. And I think a lot of people don't understand that about me. There are people in politics who I feel are good faith actors and are acting in good uh, faith with the public, and then there are people that are I'm just not going to entertain your nonsense, right? So let's take somebody like a Bernie Sanders. I disagree with Bernie Sanders all the time. But I do think Bernie Sanders is a good faith actor. Just because I disagree with him, it doesn't mean I think we're not fighting on the same side. The same with the majority report guys like Sam Cedar. I listen to them, and sometimes I agree with them, and sometimes I don't. But I don't think Sam Cedar is an opportunist out to cash a check. Consequences be damned, you know. Someone like a Bill Maher, I can't say that about because he's just all over the place with his nonsense and rhetoric. Um, Someone like Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparian, those are people I don't take seriously. I just can't take them seriously because they've shown me time and time again that you can't take them seriously. So there's that. Let me see. Okay, let me read this. And this one is from Rick. Definitely not Rick Wilson because the this is okay. It says, "Why do you have a problem with Jimmy Kimmel being fired by ABC, but have no problem with Roseanne being fired from ABC?" Okay, how do you know I don't have a problem with Roseanne being fired from ABC? I don't think I've ever even mentioned Roseanne in any of my writing, right? And I actually used to watch Roseanne back in the 90s when I was a kid. Um, and the thing with Roseanne, I actually didn't think she needed to be fired. I didn't agree or like the stuff she was saying about Cynthia Jarrett, the Planet of the Apes reference or whatever it was. I hated it. It was repulsive. It was disgusting. I don't have a problem with ABC firing him, so you're firing her because you're right about that. And the difference is when Roseanne Barr got fired, it wasn't because Joe Biden told or threatened ABC to fire her or told the his Federal Communications Commission director to fire her. That was ABC acting independently, and they fired her for the words that she said. That is their First Amendment right. ABC is a private company, and they have every right to say, "Hey, Roseanne, we don't like what you say. Kick rocks." Um, I would have tried to give her a redemption arc, it would have been bullcrap. But even optically, it'd have been like, hey, you know, she did the bare minimums, and again, that networks and things like that, media companies, they're going to act what they think is their best interest. And I don't have a problem with ABC firing her, because Roseanne is not a person that you can trust to act in good faith. She is just not a person that you can give any little bit of rope to and think that she's gonna do the right thing. Because that's history has shown us time and time again that she will make left turns when she's supposed to go straight. And if I'm ABC at that moment, I'd figure the best course of action is to fire her. With them firing, or not firing, because he didn't get fired, but suspending Jimmy Kimmel indefinitely, I don't like that, because they did it because Donald Trump bullied them into doing it. And the FCC commissioner, Brendan Carr, um, is giving them, we could do this the easy way or the hard way threats, like he's in the fucking Goodfellas. Like, what the hell is that? What was that? Right after he said that in that CNBC interview, you should have immediately put Jimmy Kimmel back on the air. Because now it looks like you're capitulating to his threats, even if you're not, which you are. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that you're not. Optically, it looks like capitulation. It looks like, okay, this is state-run media now. This is the FCC giving us an order, going against our First Amendment rights, and we're just doing this. Because what Jimmy Kimmel said was very, very innocuous. It was not um, the worst thing I've heard somebody say. It was actually kind of tame. And he didn't even say it about Charlie Kirk. He said it about Donald Trump's reaction to Charlie Kirk, because they asked him about it, and then he starts pivoting, talking about, but the White House ballroom is going to be very nice. And, uh, nah, I just don't think it's, and I know for a fact what firing Roseanne is not the same as what ABC did to Jimmy Kimmel. That's the long answer. Okay. All right. What do you think of Ted Cruz speaking out against what Brendan Carr is doing? This one comes from Nancy. Uh, Nancy, so here's the thing. Uh, Ted Cruz is not somebody that I put a lot of stock into. He is one of the most feckless people in Washington, D.C. He let Donald Trump talk all that smack about his wife, his father, and then instead of standing against him, he decided to kiss the ring. I don't know if it was Lindsey Graham or someone else said there's two kinds of people in this world: the people who hate Ted Cruz and Ted Cruz. And I think that's the truth. Ted Cruz is not somebody that you can trust, because I did hear the what you're talking about. He did say the right thing, that you can't be state ran media and strong arming networks and telling them what to say. I agreed with that much of it, right? But then he follows it up with a bunch of untruths, saying Jimmy Kimmel spoke ill against Charlie Kirk, or Jimmy Kimmel tried to. Um, I forgot what he said, but it was a bunch of nonsense. And someone like Ted Cruz, he a broken clock is right twice a day, right? So every once in a while, he might say something cool. He might say something nice. He might even say something poignant. But it's going to be followed up or in the mix of a bunch of stupid comments, right? Ted Cruz is not somebody I I take seriously. He's just a horrible person. The way he left Texas to go to Mexico when they were going through all this weather issues that they had. Ted Cruz, uh, try to be nice when I say this in the nicest way possible, but fuck Ted Cruz. He is not somebody who should be given any leeway or any respect. So, congratulations to him for telling Brendan Cruz the obvious, but I don't grade you on doing obvious stuff. I grade you on speaking truth to power and doing it in the right way. And Ted Cruz gets an F minus on that. Maybe we could move it up to a regular F for pointing out the obvious for Brendan Carr. How about that? Okay. I'd only take a few more of these because my throat is just not doing what I need to do. I might need to drink some green tea or something like that. All right. What was the hardest article to write? And this comes from Tim. The hardest article to write. So here's the thing with me and articles. I don't really think writing articles is hard, and I don't really grade articles on that. What I look at articles on is how time consuming is it going to be? How much data do I have to pull up? How do I have to call people independently? Like when I did my article on Tyler Robinson, I actually called um, Washington, and I think the police department is St. George County. I called people to get information from them. Um, and that's why I wrote the article. And some people were saying, well, now we're finding out he had leftist ties. Are you going to write a retraction, or are you going to erase the article? No, because the people I called, the people I talked to, the people I researched, this is what I found, you know? And I never said he was a full on right wing person. I don't know what he was, but the right wing ties are factual. He had those ties. He was associated with the Groypers, which was Nick Fuentes's far right group. This is a fact. This is not my opinion. So I could put that in the article. To me, whether he was Democrat or Republican is not an issue, whether he was right or far left. I think when you have those kind of articles, that makes sure these kind of things continue. Because what the right is doing right now is they are trying to blame the left. They don't just want to blame the left, they need to blame the left, right? Just like the governor, I believe it was, could have been the mayor, but I think it was the governor. He said, I was hoping that this guy wasn't one of our own. Why were you hoping that? And I don't, him thinking, saying that is whatever, but, he was hoping that, in my guesstimation, because I don't know this guy, but he was hoping that so he could put the shooting the blame on a boogeyman, because that's what Republicans like to do, is they like to blame boogeymen. So let me see. That's that with that. Um, let me see. So the hardest article to write, it depends. All right, it says, "Hey, Chris, when are you releasing your book?" Okay, that's a good question. This comes from, hold on. The reason why I keep taking my glasses on and off, by the way, is because I've got nystagmus. So that means my vision shakes up and down and up and down. My vision isn't necessarily bad, but it shakes when things are um, real up close. It shakes when things are far away, and the glasses helps things shake a little less. And when I can hold something up close to me on my tablet, like this, the glasses don't really help me with that. These glasses are for far vision, right? So just getting that out the way. As for the book, okay, so there's a few different layers to this. All right, the book is gonna come out whenever um, we find a publisher, right? So with the agent, finding a literary agent was hard enough. So now that we got her, she thought that my YouTube was, or not my YouTube, my Substack. She said, well, in a year when you get 1,000 subscribers, we can start pitching to publishers. Because she said that she said for writing, you want to make sure that you got a good newsletter list and people follow previous writing, because that makes it an easier pitch to publishers. And now, when I checked this morning, we are at 970 subscribers. So we'll be at 1,000 probably before the week is up, right? Um, and we're doing it in 4 months, which was, and she was guesstimating in a year. So that's um, that's something we're taking into consideration. And with however this YouTube grows, that might be, something else that they'll take into consideration, because again, I'm not a professional YouTuber. I don't know the ins and outs of YouTube. I've been, my throat isn't clear. I don't know how articulate I sound. I'm a little nervous doing this, because usually when I do YouTube stuff, it's usually with people. But if I can get a following, then yeah, we will put this out a lot faster. That's the long answer to that question. But it's still gonna go with the rate the publisher wants to move, because I'm not gonna do this independently. I originally considered that, but now I think I'm gonna go with a big publisher. Depending on how this book goes, I might either keep doing that or just go independent from here on out. But we'll try the big publisher first, right? And there are people that are interested in it, so we will. I'll keep you updated on that. All right, let me see. I'll do two more of these, maybe. Let me see. Hey, Chris, I'm so glad I discovered you. I was wondering if you will ever appear on any of the Lincoln Project or Lincoln Square shows. I love to hear you and Rick uh, or Stuart chop it up, um, and I would love to listen to you. What? Hold on. I would be. It would be a lot of fun to listen to you too. Okay. This one comes from Delilah. Looks like her name. Thank you for that. And I'm not really aiming to do, like, I would love to do a Lincoln Project show or Lincoln Square show, like be on that with somebody, but that's not really like something I'm like actively pursuing, right? If it works out, I'm sure I'll be on those shows. Um, if they think that my voice is going to be valuable to an issue, maybe I will do a show or two. But again, it's all about media training and being somebody that people want to listen to. Um, and that's pretty much the gist of that, right? It's just if people want to listen to me, if you like this video, which is a longer video than I've probably ever made in my life, just tell them. If you stay to the end of this, that means I'm doing a good thing. If you stopped after like 5 seconds, I did a bad thing. So we won't do this again. All right. Or if I do it again, it'll be in a more edited, better way, right? Just, we'll see. But sometimes you just gotta let things fly. You gotta just put things out there and all that. And then the last question is, oh Jesus Christ, man, really? Okay. Well, I guess I gotta answer it. I said I'll answer it. So this is the last question I'm gonna answer. Is what do you think about Stephen A. Smith? Are you a fan of his? Um, Stephen A. Smith um, is not somebody I would put in the good faith actor category, put it that way. Um, I am not what you would call a fan of Stephen A. Smith. Um, I don't necessarily hate the guy, but Stephen A. Smith kind of reminds me of a person who is, you just can't trust his word, right? Like, I don't think he'd survive I think he would be a snitch if we were living back in like uh colonial times or slave times or anything like that, because he wants to be nice to people on the right. He wants to le- legitimatize their illegitimate arguments, delegitimate arguments, however you say it. He wants to give legitimacy to unlegitimate things. That's what Stephen A. Smith likes to do. Not a fan of how he gets down. Um, Not a fan of the way he just recently put Jimmy Kimmel under the bus. He was like saying you gotta be nice to people and you gotta know the game you're playing and this and that. This ain't a game, Stephen A. Smith. That's my issue with Stephen A. Smith is not so much his stupid opinions, but he traffics in a lot of anti-intellectualism. And I say traffics in it because I know Stephen A. Smith is not a dumb guy. He's a learned individual, but he plays this media game. He himself admits that he's a full-fledged capitalist. He's all about making money. And like, I can't be friends with somebody like a Sean Hannity. I just can't do it because to me, if I did stuff like that, now I'm cosplaying my politics. If I'm over here telling you all one thing in my articles and in YouTube videos, that's one thing. But then if I'm going over here being like, hey, Sean Hannity, you want to go out for tea and crumpets? When I think the guy is blatantly being racist, I can't do that, you know. And I've chilled with racist people before. You coming from Knoxville, that's just something that's gonna happen. But um, the stuff that Sean Hannity says are non-starter arguments for him, and Stephen A. Smith is just too friendly with people like that, and that's why I can't take him seriously. Smart guy though. But yeah, I can't take him seriously. So anyway, that's the end of this. Let me see. All right, so this is a long video. So 44 minutes. So longest video I've ever recorded ever. We'll see if people want to listen to it or not. Watching in increments. But anyway, I'll talk to you later. And longest video I've ever recorded by myself. Anyway, peace.